All right, let's get ready, because today we're going to really dig into what it takes to prep for an emergency response worker interview.
I think a lot of people don't realize how tough these interviews can be.
Yeah, we're talking about those folks, those amazing people who like run towards danger when everybody else is running away, right?
Right. It takes a special kind of person to do that, and the interviewers want to see that you have what it takes. They're really looking for the best of the best.
Exactly. And we're here to help you, our listener, be one of those people, give you a real edge. And we've got, RoleCatcher's got like this whole stack of resources for us, the career guide, the interview guide, and like this huge, massive question repository they've got.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. They've really thought of everything.
This isn't, like generic advice. This is like, tailored intel to help you like crush this interview.
It is, I think it's really going to help people understand what the interviewers are really looking for and how to answer those questions in a way that really showcases, what they bring to the table.
Yes. So, first things first, Rhett, let's kind of like paint a picture of like what an emergency response worker actually does day to day.
Well, it's not all heroics, although there is definitely some of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's about problem solving, it's about logistics, and like a whole lot of grit. Think about like coordinating supplies for a flood zone,
Okay.
or cleaning up debris after a hurricane, or even, ensuring public safety during some kind of large scale event.
Wow.
Yeah, the work environment can be really intense, often in remote or hazardous locations. Sometimes you're working long hours, irregular hours.
I bet.
It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
So, reading through the guide here, it's really cool how technology's like changing the game. The RoleCatcher guide talks about drones, uh, virtual reality training, satellite imaging, all this like really high-tech stuff.
It's changing rapidly. Imagine like you're assessing damage with a drone,
Yeah.
or you're using VR to like simulate a real life crisis situation.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
It really is. This field's like constantly evolving, so it's even more exciting for those who are drawn to the, cutting edge, the latest technology.
So let's get to the heart of this deep dive, right? Which is those crucial interview questions.
Right.
And I got to say, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help here
It can be, definitely.
because it can like score your answers against like the specific job requirements.
Yeah.
And it can even offer feedback like on your video practice sessions. It's taking the guesswork out of prepping.
It's like having a coach right there with you, It's personalized, so you're getting feedback that's specific to the job you're applying for.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So question number one, can you describe your experience working in emergency response? Now, this might seem like pretty straightforward on the surface, but what are they really getting at here?
Well, they're looking to see if you understand the field, right? Even if you don't have like direct hands-on experience. Have
Yeah.
you volunteered with the Red Cross?
Okay.
Maybe done some first aid training. Don't just list off jobs. Connect those dots, show how the skills you have are actually relevant to what they're looking for.
Okay, so someone with less experience could really, stand out here by highlighting those proactive efforts to learn to gain relevant skills, even if they haven't been, officially in that role.
Definitely. Yeah. It shows initiative, it shows passion, and RoleCatcher's AI can actually help like fine tune those answers.
How so?
Well, it can highlight areas where you can strengthen your answer. Maybe add a specific example or a detail from your experience. Even if it's not directly emergency response work, you can still connect it.
Gotcha. All right, on to question two. What strategies do you use to manage stress in high-pressure situations? I mean, this job is all about handling pressure, right?
Absolutely. They want to see that you won't, crumble when things get tough. Be specific.
Okay.
Don't just say, oh, I stay calm. Give them concrete examples, techniques you actually use.
Give me some examples.
You could say, I use deep breathing exercises, or I prioritize tasks and break them down into smaller steps.
Oh, that's good. And, I think RoleCatcher's video practice feature is really, really valuable here because you can actually, record yourself answering the question.
Yeah.
Get that, AI feedback on your delivery, on your body language, your tone of voice.
It's like having a virtual coach, right?
Yeah.
You're projecting that calm, confident demeanor that interviewers are looking for.
It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Now, I'm sure they could phrase this in a few different ways, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You might hear something like, how do you handle pressure? Or what do you do when you feel overwhelmed?
Mhm.
But at the core, it's the same thing. They want to know how you cope in those high-stress situations.
All right, question 3. How do you prioritize tasks when responding to an emergency situation?
Mm.
Because in a disaster, I mean, there's a lot going on at once, right?
Yeah. They want to know that you can think clearly when things are chaotic. Can you assess the situation and decide what needs to happen first?
So what would a good answer sound like here?
You could talk about, like, using a triage system,
Okay.
identifying the most critical tasks, the things that need immediate attention.
Yeah.
Something like, I'd first assess the overall situation, identify any immediate threats to life or safety, and then I would prioritize tasks based on their urgency and impact, potentially delegating responsibilities to my team members.
That sounds good. Very organized.
You want to sound like someone who can handle the pressure.
Yeah, definitely. Now, and again, like drawing on any relevant experience, even from volunteer work, can be really powerful here. The gaining hands-on experience section in the RoleCatcher Career Guide really emphasizes that.
Yeah, it shows you've taken the initiative to get involved, even if you haven't had a paid position in the field.
Okay, awesome. On to question 4. How do you communicate with other emergency responders on the scene of an incident? This is all about teamwork.
Yeah.
You got to be on the same page.
Right. Effective communication is like the key. They want to know you can convey information clearly, listen actively, and work together effectively with others.
And it's not just talking, right?
No, it's more than that.
It's like hand signals, radio communication.
Exactly. It can get pretty complex depending on the environment.
Yeah, and thinking about the different people you'll be interacting with, right?
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide mentions this too, like disaster victims, other responders, officials. You're going to have to adapt your communication style, right?
Absolutely. You can't talk to everyone the same way.
You might even hear this question phrased as, how do you ensure clear communication in chaotic situations?
Yeah. It's the same idea. They're looking for your ability to communicate effectively under pressure.
Okay, moving on to question 5. Can you describe a time when you had to make a quick decision in an emergency situation? This is your chance to shine, right?
Yeah.
To like tell a compelling story.
It is, but it doesn't have to be some big, dramatic life or death scenario.
Okay.
Even something from a volunteer experience or, first aid training course can work. Just focus on the thought process behind your decision.
So showing your judgment, your problem-solving skills.
Exactly. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine that answer, make sure it's really hitting those key points that the interviewers are looking for.
It's like having like an AI coach kind of like whispering in your ear.
Right, exactly.
Okay, question 6. What steps do you take to ensure your own safety when responding to an emergency situation? This is about showing them you're not going to be like reckless, right? Like safety first.
Absolutely. They need to see that you care about your own well-being just as much as the people you're helping.
Yeah.
So talk about following protocols, wearing the right gear, assessing hazards, communicating with your team.
And the work environment, I mean, it can be unpredictable, right? You got like extreme weather, hazardous materials.
Oh, yeah.
You got to show them you're ready for anything.
And if you have any certifications like first aid CPR, hazardous materials technician, or even ENT, mention those. It shows you're serious about safety.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 7. How do you stay up to date with the latest emergency response techniques and technologies? This field, I mean, it's constantly evolving.
It is. So, mention any conferences you've attended, courses you've taken, industry publications you read, professional organizations you belong to.
Show them you're a lifelong learner, basically.
Exactly.
And what about all those technology advances we talked about earlier, like the drones, VR, mobile apps? Showing you're familiar with those is huge.
Definitely, yeah. Connect it back to that continuous learning section in the career guide. Emphasize your dedication to staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, awesome. Question number 8. How do you manage and lead a team of emergency responders during a crisis situation? It's about those leadership skills, right?
It is. Now, even if you're early in your career, you can still talk about leadership qualities you've shown, maybe in volunteer work, group projects, anything like that.
Okay.
Think about times you've taken initiative, resolved conflicts, inspired others. They want to see you can rally a team and get things done, especially under pressure.
And again, I think RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful here because it can like analyze your answer for, specific leadership keywords and phrases.
Yeah, it can. So you can make sure you're hitting those key points that they're looking for.
Okay, question number 9. How do you work with other emergency response agencies, such as police or medical personnel, during a crisis situation? So it's not just, one team. It's this whole network of people working together, right?
It is. They want to know that you can navigate those sometimes complex relationships effectively.
Yeah.
So emphasize things like clear communication, respecting roles and responsibilities, working together towards a common goal.
So a good answer might sound something like, I understand that effective emergency response requires seamless collaboration between various agencies. I prioritize clear communication, active listening, and a shared understanding of roles and responsibilities to ensure a coordinated and efficient response.
Exactly. It shows you understand the big picture.
And this goes back to those typical interactions we talked about earlier, right? You'll be interacting with government officials, nonprofits, all these different people.
Right, so you have to be adaptable and work well with everyone.
Okay, we've made it to our final question for this part of our deep dive. How do you ensure that your emergency response team is prepared for a variety of emergency situations? This is about like preparation, training, being ready for anything, right?
It is, yeah. Talk about things like conducting regular training exercises, developing emergency plans, staying informed about potential hazards, and making sure your team has the skills and knowledge to handle a variety of situations.
And if you have any special certifications or training, like hazardous materials technician or incident command system, definitely mention that here.
Absolutely. It shows you're taking that extra step to be prepared.
We've covered a lot of ground here in this first part, and I think our listeners already way more prepared to tackle these tough interview questions.
I hope so. It's all about knowing what they're looking for and being ready to showcase your skills and experience.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer in that preparation process.
It can be, definitely. It's like having a personalized coach right there in your pocket, helping you refine your answers and prepare like a pro.
So we've got the interview guide, we've got the career guide, and we've got RoleCatcher's AI. We are armed and ready for this interview.
You are. You've got all the tools you need to succeed.
But before we wrap up, I'm gonna circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the, intense work environment and how important it is to manage stress. The RoleCatcher guide talks about the emotional toll this job can take.
Right. It can be tough.
And how important self-care is.
Yeah. You have to take care of yourself in this line of work. Otherwise, you'll burn out.
So the guide mentions things like seeking support from colleagues, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in activities that help you de-stress and recharge.
It's all about finding healthy coping mechanisms that work for you.
And, it's something you can actually bring up in the interview, right?
It is, yeah. It shows you're aware of the challenges and that you're proactive about taking care of yourself.
It shows self-awareness and a commitment to, personal resilience, which are important in any job, but especially in a high-stress job like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've explored the role, we've analyzed these interview questions, and we've discovered how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers and prepare like a pro. You're ready to go out there and ace that interview.
But there's one more crucial aspect of emergency response work that I think we need to touch on.
And what's that?
The ethical dilemmas that often arise in these high-stakes situations.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. We touched on it a little earlier with the question about prioritizing tasks.
Yeah.
But it's worth diving a bit deeper into the complexities of ethical decision-making in this field. It's not always black and white.
Right. And, think about that scenario we talked about before, right? Like the person who's refusing to evacuate, even though it's the safest option for everyone involved.
That's a perfect example of the kind of ethical challenges that these workers face all the time.
It's a situation that forces you to really think, weigh the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, you have a duty to protect individual lives, right? But you're also responsible for the safety of the community as a whole. And sometimes those two things can conflict. So how do you navigate that? How do you balance compassion for that individual with the need to make those tough decisions that might go against their wishes?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There's no easy answer. That's what makes it so challenging. The RoleCatcher Guide talks about the importance of clear communication, empathy, trying to understand everyone's perspective.
Right. And it also highlights the need to have a strong ethical framework, right? Something to guide your decision-making in those tough moments.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing how to do the job. It's also about knowing how to do it the right way.
And I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners.
Yeah.
As you're preparing for this interview, it's not just about the skills and experience they're looking for, but also about the values that drive you.
Yeah, your ethical principles, how you'll approach those difficult situations in the field.
Those are the qualities that truly set you apart, right?
Absolutely. They show that you're not just someone who can handle a crisis. You're someone who can handle it with integrity.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today. We've explored the role itself, we've analyzed those tricky interview questions, and we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers and prepare like a pro.
You've got all the tools you need to succeed. It's just a matter of putting in the work.
But we didn't stop there, right?
No, we didn't.
We also talked about the importance of continuous learning,
Right. Always be learning, growing, adapting.
about self-care, and about ethical decision-making, all of which are crucial for success in this field.
They are. It's not just a job. It's a way of life.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with this thought, okay? Emergency response work is about so much more than just handling emergencies.
That's true.
It's about making a difference in people's lives, being that beacon of hope in those moments of chaos,
You're the one people turn to when everything falls apart.
and using your skills and compassion to create a safer world.
It's a powerful thing to be able to do that.
If that sounds like the kind of impact you want to make, then you gotta take that next step. Yeah, go for it. Head over to RoleCatcher, sign up for free, and start that journey toward acing that emergency response worker interview.
You can do it.
Remember, you have the power to make a difference.
You do. Don't ever forget that.
Prepare well, showcase those strengths, and go out there and make it happen.
You got this.
All right, so that's it for the first part of our emergency response worker deep dive. We hope you found it valuable, but we're not done yet.
There's more to come. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive, into prepping for these emergency response worker interviews.
We just tackled some seriously tough questions.
Yeah, the kind that can make or break you,
But hey, with the right prep and with the help of RoleCatcher's AI, you can walk into that interview feeling confident and ready to really impress.
You can. It's all about being prepared.
So speaking of RoleCatcher's AI, we talked about how it can give you an extra edge.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that it can score answers, which sounds, amazing.
It is. It's pretty cool.
But how does that actually work?
So basically, you put in your answers, right? And the AI, it analyzes them against these keywords and phrases that are specific to the job description. So it's not generic feedback. It's tailored to what that particular employer is looking for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated.
So it's like having a sneak peek into the interviewer's brain?
Kinda. You know exactly what they're looking for.
And what's even better is that it shows you where you might be missing the mark, right?
Exactly. So let's say, for example, the job description really emphasizes teamwork, but your answer is more focused on your individual skills.
Yeah.
The AI will flag that and say, hey, you might want to highlight your collaborative experience a bit more.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Yeah, it helps you fine-tune your answers to really fit what they're looking for.
So it's not just telling you what you did wrong.
Right.
It's helping you improve and really tailor your responses to what they need.
Exactly. It's about making you the best candidate you can be.
And then there's that video practice feature, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a game changer.
So you can record yourself answering the questions.
Yeah.
And then the AI analyzes
Yeah.
everything, your delivery, your body language, even your tone of voice,
It's like having a personal interview coach.
without the awkward eye contact.
Right, exactly. You get all the feedback, none of the awkwardness.
And for someone who's, maybe a little nervous about interviews, that can be huge, right?
It can. It helps you build confidence, refine your presentation skills, all in a safe environment where you can practice and get comfortable.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask, what about cost? Because these AI-powered tools, they can get pretty pricey.
Well, here's the good news. RoleCatcher has a ton of free features.
All right.
So you can access their career guide, the interview guide, and even get some AI feedback on a limited number of questions, all for free.
Oh, so you can try it out, see how it works for you?
Yeah, exactly. And then, if you want the full experience, you can upgrade to the Copilot AI subscription.
So what does the Copilot subscription give you?
It gives you unlimited AI feedback, video practice for every question, and even personalized recommendations, based on your strengths and weaknesses.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It's like having a whole team of interview experts in your corner.
Now, we've talked a lot about the interview guide, but the career guide also has some really valuable insights that can help you prep, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Remember that section on advancement paths?
Uh-huh.
That's great info to use in your answers about your long-term goals. Talk about how you see yourself growing in the field, maybe specializing in a certain area.
Yeah.
It shows ambition, a desire to learn, Interviewers love to see that.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, I'm not just interested in this job. I'm interested in this whole career.
Exactly. And speaking of showing them you're serious, the associated certifications section is really useful.
Okay.
If you have any of those, definitely mention them.
Like those specific ones we talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It shows you've invested in your professional development, and it makes you stand out from the crowd.
So even if you don't have those certifications yet.
Right.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. The guide talks about the importance of continuous learning, so you can mention your plans to get certified, Show them you're already thinking ahead.
Okay, so we've got the interview guide, the career guide, and RoleCatcher's AI.
Yep.
We are armed and ready, right?
You're ready to walk in there and crush it.
But before we wrap up this this deep dive, I want to kind of circle back to something you mentioned earlier about, the intense work environment, right?
Yeah.
And how important it is to manage stress. RoleCatcher also talks about the emotional toll this job can take.
Right. It can be tough.
And how important self-care is.
It's not something to be taken lightly. You got to take care of yourself in this field.
So the guide mentions things like seeking support from colleagues, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in activities that, help you de-stress and recharge.
Exactly. Like finding healthy ways to cope with the pressure.
And this is something you can actually put up in the interview, right?
It can. It shows you're self-aware, You understand the challenges and you're already thinking about how to take care of yourself.
It shows that you're proactive, right?
Exactly. And that you're in it for the long haul.
And committed to your own well-being.
Which ultimately makes you a better responder. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Okay, so we've explored the role. We've analyzed those really tricky interview questions. And we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can help you really tailor your answers and prepare like a pro.
You're ready to go out there and shine.
But we didn't stop there.
No, we didn't.
No.
There's more to it than just acing the interview.
Right. We also talked about, the importance of continuous learning, self-care, and ethical decision-making. All those things are crucial.
They are. They're all part of the bigger picture.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with this thought. Okay. Emergency response work. It's about so much more than just handling emergencies.
It is. It's about making a real difference.
It's about, being that beacon of hope in those moments of chaos.
You're bringing order to chaos.
And using your skills and compassion to create a safer world for everyone.
It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
If that sounds like the kind of impact you want to have, yeah, you got to take that next step.
Yeah, take that leap.
Go to RoleCatcher, sign up for free, and, start your journey towards really crushing that emergency response worker interview.
You won't regret it.
You have the power to make a difference.
You do. We all do.
Prepare well, showcase your strengths, and go out there and make it happen.
That's it. That's the key.
All right. That wraps up part 2 of our emergency response worker deep dive.
But we're not done yet. Stay with us.
Yeah, it's really making you think about those tough choices you might have to make out there in the field.
You have to be prepared for anything.
So how do you navigate that, right? How do you balance that compassion for the individual, but also the need to make those tough decisions that might go against what they want?
It's tough. There's no easy answer. That's what makes this job so challenging.
Yeah.
But the RoleCatcher guide, it really emphasizes the importance of clear communication, empathy, and really trying to understand all sides of the story.
Right. It's about seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. And it's also about having, a strong ethical framework.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Something to guide your decision making in those really tough situations, when the pressure's on.
Well, it's not just about knowing the procedures, right?
Right.
It's about having that moral compass.
Right. Knowing what's right and wrong and being able to stick to your principles even when things get really tough.
And I think, for our listener, that's a really key takeaway here, right? As you're preparing for this interview, it's not just about the skills and experience they're looking for.
Yeah, it goes beyond that.
It's also about the values that drive you, the ethical principles that really matter to you and how those are going to shape your actions out there in the field.
It's about who you are as a person, just as much as what you can do.
Okay, so we've explored the role itself. We've really gone deep into these really important interview questions, and we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can be such a powerful tool, right? To help you tailor your answers, prepare like a pro.
You're ready for anything they throw at you.
But we didn't stop there, right? We also talked about the importance of continuous learning, self-care, and ethical decision-making, all of
Yeah.
which are like absolutely crucial.
They are. They're all part of being a successful emergency response worker.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought, okay? Emergency response work, it's not just about handling emergencies.
It's so much more than that.
It's about
Yeah.
making a real difference in people's lives.
You're there for people on their worst day.
Being that, that beacon of hope in those moments of chaos and using your skills, your compassion to really create a safer world.
It's a calling, you know? It's
Yeah.
not just a job.
If that sounds like the kind of impact you want to have, then, take that next step, right? Head over to RoleCatcher, sign up for free, start your journey toward acing that emergency response worker interview.
They have so many resources to help you succeed.
Remember, you have the power to make a difference.
Don't ever doubt that.
So prepare well, showcase those strengths, and go out there and make it happen.
You got this. We believe in you.
That's a wrap on our emergency response worker deep dive. We hope you found it really valuable, and we wish you all the best in your interview. Thanks for listening.